Welcome back to the Mindful Presenter Truth Series. Truth 7 is this: one size doesn't fit all. One size does not fit all. Let me share with you an experience that demonstrated this to me. I have one son. He's all grown up now, but I still vividly remember his first day of school, his very first day of school. He sat with his mother and I on these cold, hard plastic chairs on the very front row of the assembly hall on his first day at school, listening to the headmaster address the parents and the pupils, giving us a talk about what to expect and the rules and trying to be welcoming and all that kind of stuff, trying to create a real community spirit. It was about a 20-minute speech, as I recall, and halfway through, my son looked up at me with this slight tear in his eye and he said, "Daddy, this story's given me a headache. What time will it finish?" Now, I was a bit embarrassed because he said it quite loudly. Of course, we want to make a good impression on our first day at school, even though it's our son going, not my wife and I. So I reassured him that everything was going to be fine. It was all going to be okay. But then I couldn't settle. I couldn't continue to listen to the headmaster in the same way that I had before. Not that I was taking anything in beforehand anyway. It all seemed to be noise again. But it struck me that my son was right, because I too was getting a headache from this story. It got worse. I found myself even less able to concentrate on what the headmaster was saying, because then I thought, oh my word, when I've finished here in this assembly with my son and my wife, I'm going to be going straight back to work. And I knew, because I'd had experience of this before, I just never thought about it 20 odd years ago, that I was going to be on the receiving end of more speeches, presentations like that, from colleagues, from superiors, from clients. It was happening every day in the world that I operated in. And worse still, there was a possibility that I too was going to be inflicting that pain on unsuspecting audiences. You see, what I learned then, and it was a gift from my son, was the headmaster, he was a good speaker and well-intentioned guy, and he was working hard and doing his best, but he hadn't really thought about us as his audience. What he gave us that day was everything he wanted to give us, without any real clarity or knowledge of understanding of who we were, what our anxieties were, what our aspirations were, what was going on for us, what we needed to feel secure and confident and comfortable in releasing our precious son into this school. So he dumped again all of this information on us, and it was more in the context of a lecture. My point is this: that was kind of a one-size-fits-all approach. I'm sure he does that every year to every new cohort. But it can happen in business presentations too. And our challenge is to make sure it doesn't. And the way to avoid that is to really do our homework and to find out as much as we possibly can about our audience well in advance: who they are, what they think, how they feel, how much they know, what do they really need, where are they on this kind of topic, and what specifically do they want that could help them or make some kind of focused, tangible difference to their personal or professional lives. We have to let go of this one-size-fits-all and personalize every presentation, make it highly tailored, make it bespoke. And the best way I know to do that, a lot of people say, well, how do you get to know your audience? And of course, we rely heavily these days on things like social media, Twitter and LinkedIn profiles and Facebook and that kind of stuff. And that's all well and good. And I do that too. But you know what? The one thing you cannot beat doing is speaking to your audience long before you craft your presentation. Pick up the phone, speak to some of them, email them, open up a conversation, a real human conversation with them. And then we can detach ourselves from this one-size-fits-all generic approach to business presenting and make sure that everything we say, show, and do is personal and relevant, once again, to our audience in some way, so they don't too sit there with a tear in their eye and think, this story's giving me a headache. So please, ditch the one-size-fits-all approach. Don't be like that headmaster. He was a good guy, but don't replicate what he did. Thank you.